Are back. Mute my speaker there. We are back in Stencyl and we're talking about our health bar. So the Blockman, as we mentioned, these three things. So we've created health as an attribute. You could see my setters. I have health right here as a number setter. And the first thing we're going to do is a when created event. So we want to say when created, right over here, set our health to, this is where you can say how much health you actually want to have. Now I said you could set your health to whatever you want. I'm using 3 for this example. If you choose to have 3 here, you just have to make sure that it aligns with your max health on this side. So technically you could do 5, 10, and just increase the number of dots you have. But we'll stick with 3 because it's a universal number and it's small enough we can test with accuracy. So we're setting our health to 3. Now we have to take damage to true. What is this take damage? This is another attribute, but it is a Boolean. If we do not have a Boolean governing our hit points, as soon as you touch something, your health will instantaneously go down to 0, or maybe even a negative number, because the computer updates so fast. So we have to have a damage control governing 1 hit per collision. So you can see on my Boolean setters, take damage right there. So what we'll do is we will create another game attribute, and this time we're using a Boolean. And I like to call mine take damage. And initially it's true that you can take damage. When you start, when something hits you, you will be taking damage. Click OK. I've already created mine. So then you're going to drag set take damage to true. So when you're created, you have 3 hit points, health bars, and you are able to receive to take damage. And your code should look like this when you're finished. The next step, you want to reduce your health. Now this is a collision. When myself hits an actor of, I've called it baddie. This is a universal name for my bad guys. Oops. Go back to this. So you can set this up. Just keep in mind what your collision groups are, okay? Follow the tutorials earlier that precede this to remember how to set up your collisions and your groups under your group settings. So once you have your collision set up, just remember I did a member collisions member of group, so I could select all the bad guys. We're going to set up an if statement. If take damage is true, so now we're pulling our take damage getter, setting that equal to true. You don't have to see me click all of these again. By now you should be familiar with where these are. We're setting our health to health -1. Okay, so these are all under the getters, the number getters. And the minus, you can get that the fastest way. Numbers and text. Okay. The important part here is set take damage to false. What this does is as soon as you get hit, you can no longer take damage. So this is the most important part of this code. So that is the new Boolean we created. So set take damage to, click on this comparison, false. Then do after 1 second, you can find that on your own. We're going to set take damage back to true. So this means after 1 second, we will be able to receive damage again. So we'll have 1 second of invincibility. You could increase this to 2 or 3 seconds, however long you want to be invincible. But an important thing that I suggest adding is this apply effect. So if you do apply effect, you'll see you have a range of effects to choose from here. Okay, you can make sepia, make negative, make grayscale, adjust brightness, tint. These are built-in effects that will change the way your character looks. Now I just did make sepia and it turns my character gray. So I will remain gray for 1 second, and then after the 1 second, when I can receive damage again, I'm removing all effects. Remove all. And there it is, remove all effects. And make sure that it's set to self. Now, this should all be working. And I can reduce these so they're out of the way, not blocking any of my code. And the last thing is losing a life. So when updating, right here, if health equals 0, we're going to set our lives to lives minus 1. Okay, so this should be all. Pause the video here and set these up using your game attributes. You're going to want to add set X and set Y to whatever position you want to reload. We're not physically saying reload anymore, because if you reload, your lives will also reload. You won't ever decrease lives. So don't do this one. Use your set X and set Y for self. And there we go. So we're looking for this one. And look at your scene and decide where you want to reload. Mine's at around 90 and 239. Okay. And there's the bell, meaning we are just about out of time.
Bogart to the office,
And we
please.
got some.
Garrett Bogart to the office.
What a rude ending for our video here. When your lives are 0 and you reset, make sure you set the health back to 3. This means that when you lose a life, your health will reload and you'll have another full life to try to beat the level. So we'll get into what happens when you have 0 lives next. But there you go with a crash course in the setting up of health.